We are here. We're here in the house, y'all. Wow, seems like a while since I've been back in the saddle with you guys, and I'm a little bit of nostalgic, I guess. So, can you guys hear me? Pretty good. Can you guys hear me? Just wanted to make sure we're good. So I guess how's everybody doing? Everybody in the chat room, everybody on the various social media platforms, the YouTube world, the LinkedIn world, Facebook, different Facebook groups, Thorn Township Citizens Action Committee. I'd like to welcome you guys, and like I said, it's been a while, but we are here, season 2. Is it 2? Or is it 2 or maybe 2? Hey, listen, got a quick, brief, to the point narrative, and back on the start of season 2, we're going ahead and we're going to make sure that we bring you the best of faith, politics, social media content, global news, all done from an inspirational perspective, because that's how we do. So, hey, I'd like to welcome everybody. And if this is your very first time joining me, the very first time, I want to go ahead and welcome you to Amir Shakur Speaks with your host, yours truly, Amir Shakur. That's me. And for those who don't know me and those who do, I'd like to just extend a warm welcome and a warm hello to you guys, because we've had some good times in the past. We've got a lot going on around the country, and we're here. So if this is your first time on the show, if this is your first time with me, I just want you to just make sure you subscribe, share the information. There's no cost to do anything. There's no membership. We just, good people come together sharing a wealth of information, and that's how it should be, right? So, that's how we get down. But again, I'd like to welcome you guys to Amir Shakur Speaks. Today we're opening up we're opening up the year on a good note, I think, which is a faith note. I am a man of faith, as well as a journalist, as well as a radio personality. But what better way to open it up And I appreciate all of you leaders out there who are joining me, who've joined me in the past. I want to say a shout out to my peeps at the Thorn Township Citizens Action Committee, Beth McBride, Ramona, Brian Wade. What's going on, sir? It's good to be back in the saddle with you guys, and yeah, we've been really busy. It's been not challenging. I won't use the word challenging. I think it's a laborious time for us, and 2026 is the year of empowerment, y'all. So we're gonna look at this year in the most positive, optimistic way going forward, and let's make it happen. So, hey, look, if you guys want to join in, please feel free to join in, and I'll put that stream I'll put that link on the stream if you want to join in. You can always participate via the chat room, and hey, thank you for bringing the best of your perspective to the show. Amir Shakur Speaks. So for those who don't know me, since we're at the top of the new season, my name is Amir Shakur. In my past, I've been a journalist for the Huffington Post. I've written for CNN. I've done journalistic work for the Daily Kos. I've done journalistic work for my own platforms, which is One World Talks. And now it's Amir Shakur Speaks. And please be on the lookout for the Chicago Urban Daily. So we're going to be on with you for the next 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And then you should see me at least 3 times a week. So did y'all hear what I said? You're going to see me at least 3 times a week. Hopefully we can expand it more. I'm an independent journalist. I don't have a show producer, but if anybody likes to fill that job, shoot me an email at amirshakurspeaks.com. And, we'll get down. I definitely appreciate you guys. And welcome, Brian, Beth, Ramona, some of the folks in worldwide global internet. Hey, thank you for joining. And if you're not watching me live and you're going to join me later on, feel free to shoot me an email and let me know how you guys feel. So just wanted to take a brief second to open up and talk a little bit about some things that are going on the global scale. So let's put it in order, okay? Let's discuss some of the issues that are going on a national level. Let's talk about probably one of the most controversial subjects within the last decade. It's Mr. Donald Trump. Let's discuss the issue from the promise of world peace and how it's being challenged right now. And maybe you guys don't agree. What I try to do is I try to talk from the standpoint of community. I'm not a politician. I'm somebody who cares about the community. I'm somebody who cares about human rights. And I care about social justice. My degrees are in social justice. I'm also a current L1, which for those who don't know, I'm a law student. I go to an alternative branded law school only because I owe over $150,000 in student loans, but that's not for conversation right now. We can talk about that later on, and maybe we'll talk about student loan reform, which kind of went out the window with the second Trump presidency, but we won't worry about that. Promise of world peace is where what we said, and it's being challenged greatly right now. I'd like to elaborate on the things that are going on. So let's just take it one step at a time. Say, for example, let's talk about the situation with Mr. Trump and Maduro, the captured president of Venezuela. A lot of people are saying that this particular event is about domination for oil. I'm going to amplify that message, and I'm going to say that President Trump has a long history of amplifying messages and being embraced by not only just from a neocon standpoint or a neoconservative standpoint, but even from the point of, you might not agree with this, but I say it's a standpoint of white supremacy and other domestic extremist things that are certainly being birthed in this new Trump presidency. And I think that we gotta really call it for what it is. Your feedback is very important. And Venezuela, yeah, Venezuela is, it's the challenge territory. And the reason why I even want to say Venezuela is because, this it's pretty much unheard of for an American president to outright now. They have covertly gone into different countries and from the standpoint of covert operations, from CIA operations and so on and so forth. The global stage has been set by America, and they can't say they've had. The American government cannot say it hasn't had a hand in a lot of the demise of world leaders. It's very true, and I definitely want feedback on this because, we are in a very challenged time. We are in a time whereas, you're looking at these leaders and things are changing in the world order or the new world order. So let's talk about, how world peace is being challenged right now. You have multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar extremists, and they say what they're doing is from the standpoint of peace. But a lot of us from the outside looking in are saying, no, it doesn't feel like that. What it feels like is, the domination is coming from the standpoint of an economic, maybe oil, maybe materials, we want to know, I want to know from you guys, how do you feel? Do you feel that, the arrest of President Maduro and his wife was justified? And for those who don't know, less than a week ago, President Maduro was violently captured, and his wife were violently captured in an American by an American contingent, including the Navy SEALs and Delta Force, I believe it was, who went in, with special forces who went in and basically captured the president. Now, from what I can say about Nicolas Maduro is that he hasn't really been a favorite of his community. He was the Venezuelan president or quasi-president who rose from being a former union leader and served as the president of Venezuela since 2013. He was the legitimate president, and he previously served as the 24th vice president under Hugo Chavez. So, Chavez was another highly contentious Venezuelan leader who, they didn't have the best history or hasn't had the best run with the United States of America. So we can say that I can honestly believe that this Maduro demise has probably been planned for years because he was a part of the last administration. Now, the question of the hour was he connected to drug trafficking? Well, there's not a legitimate connection to that. There is innuendo, there's rumor that says he is, but from the standpoint of global human rights, folks, we believe that the possibility of drug trade in a lot of the third world countries exists because they do get funding income from a lot of the drug trades. And it's something that has been known both publicly and covertly, I could say. So, was that a factor in it? Do I believe it was? Yeah, I do. Is it the level to whereas the Trump administration has made it? I don't believe it's at that level. So, and the other thing that I like to say about Maduro is, Venezuela, Cuba, Colombia, Mr. Trump actually made a statement to the president of Colombia that, he better watch his ass. Is this the kind of diplomacy that we need as a country? Is this the kind of diplomacy that we need? Is this the kind of rhetoric that an American president should be openly suggesting? And that's the question that I want you guys to answer. So Brian, the Venezuelan country was an underground oil business selling it to sanctioned countries. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we did. I'm aware of one of the biggest exports that are coming from out of Venezuela. So it is it a democracy or a dictatorship? Which is another question that was asked. It's a system of governance that has prevailed since the direction. I mean, in the mid 1990s, when Hugo Chavez was a standalone president, I can say it was a lot similar to the flight of Cuba and under Castro, to whereas is it a quasi democracy? I can say it was a functioning totalitarian dictatorship that gave the resemblance of democracy. Nicolas Maduro's government received strong support from global powers like Russia, China, Cuba, like we talked about, in Iran. And from an American standpoint, you can see the contrast why why America would want this country to disappear. Number one, Venezuela is in the backyard of America, being a neighbor to us. So, that's one thing. Last year and the year before, the Russian government was doing military expeditions right there in the sea that's adjacent to Venezuela. So, I mean, these are things that, had been talked about, and I'm sure to topple Chavez, Hugo Chavez was the move prior, but since this new president took control, I think that Maduro's days were numbered, and I think that that's been not only a secret, but I think America has had diplomatic backing along with countries like Turkey and Caribbean nations, because it's something that economic in contrast. Many Western nations, like you guys said, they're backed by drug trade. They're backed by things that are opposite of what we believe as a Western power. We can trade on the world stage in any number of ways. Some of these third world countries can't do that, so they have to get resources from where they get them from. All right. So let's I wish that we could spend a lot more time, and in the days ahead we will talk about it. I'd like to welcome Mr. Ryan Sinwelski. We'll talk a little bit about some local things that are going on as well. But yeah, I mean, Venezuela is a problem, and Ryan's Gay Chicago is one of my partners in Ryan Sinwelski, and talking about things on a local level. And here's my thing: Latin America. I want to probably bring it a little bit full circle. Latin America is having in Latino America, Hispanic Americans are having a particularly hard time right now. We know about the struggles with ICE. We know about the struggles with deportation with ICE. We know about the struggles that they've had. And say, for instance, with this leader, Maduro, who has not been an advocate of his people. So, you saw down in, or maybe you didn't see, but down in places like South Florida, where they have a huge Venezuelan contingent, they celebrated the capture of Nicholas and his wife, Claudia Flores, I believe her name was. And they have been flown to New York to face narco-terrorism charges. The interim leadership, following the raid, recognized Maduro's vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, I believe, I might be mispronouncing her name, as the acting leader. And the Supreme Court of Venezuela quickly, decisively put her in charge. And who is she? She is a Nobel Prize uh, Laura, she is somebody who is very looked on, very highly on the world stage. So U.S. oversight and the campaigns in Venezuela are ongoing as we speak, and it's going to be years for that country to stabilize and rebuild. And even at this point, Trump is pushing for $100 billion, excuse me. I'm gonna say that again, $100 billion investment from U.S. major oil companies. But here's the thing: because of the way that this thing is played out on the global stage, it hasn't been the positivity that's necessary right now. They're saying, "Hey, hands off, Trump. We can't get involved in this because it's been a noisy, unnecessary, very, very radical production." And I think that it didn't have to be that. In the past, when the American government played a part in undermining foreign nations, they did it covertly with the CIA, so on and so forth. And nation building is just a part of the New World Order. It's a part of. So I mean, we can't be foolish and act like it doesn't exist. But to go in and take a president of a foreign country, lock, stock, and barrel, with not a good reason, and just use special forces and throw them on the back of a C-140 plane, it just sends a bad message to those similarly suited nations. And the pushback has been very dramatic. It's been very dramatic. So we all have to keep an eye out about what's going on. But I want to bring it full circle, and I do want to say that I want to say without a doubt, I want to say very confidently that this particular United States president has had his hands in a lot of things, and have those things been positive? No, 90% of his agenda has failed. We're talking about the sanctions against and the tariffs against foreign countries who have made enemies of former allies like Canada. Greenland is another operation that's going on right now, to whereas the Trump administration is offering 10,000 to 100,000 to nationals in Greenland to turn against their country. And I mean, these things are happening under the backdrop of the American public. A lot of us, because of the national furloughs from Mr. Elon Musk and Donald Trump and the administration, it's gone downhill. I mean, how many people lost their jobs on a federal level this past year on cutbacks? So we've got to look at this thing for what it is, from the standpoint of, has this president been doing the right thing? Should we follow this president into a international or a national combat situation? I'm not going to say war, I'm going to say combat. Or should we, as the American people, stand up and say, hey, one thing at a time? We are in an administration that has signaled single-handedly the desire to influence the world and dominate the world, but with lack of resources and definitely waning support. So those are the things that are on the table for conversation in the days ahead. From my standpoint, guys, what I'd like to say is I would really like to say that Mr. Maduro and folks of that nature are just a small resemblance of what the smaller issues are, but they're not the issues that are affecting our country on a national level or even an international level. I mean, could President Trump, here's the question, and we're going to get back to the chat because I want you guys to actively participate this season, and I want to hear what you have to say. But could President Trump have avoided going into Venezuela or even the talk of other Latin American countries like Cuba, and Colombia. Even Mexico is on the conversation piece. So what I wanted to do was, before I get too far into the narrative, I just want to show. I want to show a video of Mr. Trump and some of his cronies talking about this quest for world domination, and then I want to decipher that down into what it looks like. Give me a second, and let's pull it up. Let's definitely pull it up. Hopefully, I can. Let me add this back to the stage while I'm pulling it up. But real quick, while we're waiting on the video to come up, I just want to know, what do you guys think? And let's talk a little bit about that. Trump is desperate to distract from the Epstein scandal and a horrible economy. And yeah, to your point, Ryan, not only is he desperate to distract from the Epstein scandal and the world economy, but he's also desperate to, he's desperate to hide some of the ratings, the declining ratings of one of the worst presidents in United States history. First term was mid to low, and this term is definitely some of the worst ratings of any president. And that's worse than Nixon, worse than Jefferson Davis, who took over after President Lincoln after the Civil War. I mean, Trump is going to get us bombed, Ramona. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about the bombing. I am sure that we are going to get into further escalation around the world, Ramona, and that is something that is it's tragic. It's tragic. And yes, please, guys, hit the like button to just help me out, and we got to be able to talk about these things for what they are. I really want feedback on a national, on a global level, and to really talk about it. So I just want to I want to pull up a video if I can, if the system will allow me. It may not allow me. About what's going on. Let's see if I can. Give me 1 second, guys. And while I'm doing that, please tell me, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about the world domination piece? Because I want to drill that down for a little bit more. But this is what I wanted to share with you guys here. I think I have it now. And hopefully you can see that and hear that. Let's play this. Now, I'm going to set this clip up, and it is Mr. Lindsey Graham and Donald Trump on the plane coming back. Let's remove, and they're talking about things like world domination and how the president of Cuba needs to watch his ass. And I just want you guys to really talk about these things as they're taking questions from the Air Force One reporter. So let's look at it, and give me 1 second, and we'll play it.
So, Mr. President, the bottom line is, we talked about a drug caliphate in our backyard. We have Venezuela, we have Cuba, we have Colombia in our backyard. And these three countries have been condemned ever since I've been in politics. Joe Biden put a $25 million bounty on Maduro's head. Chris Smith, the day he got inaugurated, said, I hope Trump will hold Maduro's feet to the fire. He did. So what has he done? He's going to clear our backyard of a drug caliphate. Countries run by narco-terrorist dictators who murder, rape, send drugs into our country to kill thousands of our citizens. To my Democratic friends, you should be celebrating this. When bin Laden went down, I was the first to applaud President Obama. This was one of the most sophisticated military operations in the history of the country. What they were able to do was amazing. They knew we were coming. We had a good part of the Navy And they were able to capture this man alive. No military in the world could have done it. And as to this commander-in-chief, he did something people talked about doing. You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship that's killed priests and nuns. They preyed on their own people. Their days are numbered. We're going to wake up one day, I hope in 26, in our backyard, we're going to have allies in these countries doing business with America, not narco-terrorist dictators killing Americans. This is a big frigging day. And everybody in the world is thinking differently than they were just a few days ago because of what you did.
So, guys, let's go back and, again, we're talking about, the quest for world domination and what we're seeing here. It's not, to me, it's a problem on a lot of levels, and I do believe that we have to pay attention, because if not, we're going to get involved in global conflicts that are so unnecessary, so unwarranted. And, you can't fight the world, even if you're a superpower like America, we are the USA, and yes, we are the narco terrorists. The American government cannot say it hasn't had a hand in the undermines of countries, liberal countries around the world, in the name of domination, world domination, or global domination. Lindsey Graham and some of the cohorts of President Trump, are just the people who are the proxies for the establishment, to say the least. And the serious thing about what's going on right now is we are uprooting forces that we haven't seen. We're talking about going back into Cuba and uprooting the elected president of a democratic country, which Cuba is. And I want to remind everybody that during the presidency of Barack Obama, we opened up diplomatic relations and travel to Cuba again. So, have we removed that? I haven't checked as of lately, but I mean, it's not playing in our favor on the world stage. So let's think about those things. And I mean, as far as, some of the shenanigans and these sordid group of characters, I just think it has to stop. Now, the statement that I do want to make, the statement that I will make to a lot of you guys, and I really want your feedback, is, we are involved in, we're involved in a trade war, a global trade war going on right now. We are involved in, these tariffs that are giving us a problem around not just the United States, but around the world. And while we're doing that, countries like China and Russia are taking over the global stage when it comes to trade. So I think that we have to take a step back and really look at this thing for what it really is. And these political ideologies and movements that are coming from based upon the quasi-national identity of the United States, it should not be built around a group of tired, worn out wasps, but it should be built on, how we play on a global stage. These worn out neocons like Lindsey Graham and some of the people who are proxies around Stephen Miller, some of the people who are known proxies around Donald Trump. The racial hierarchy exists, and the belief that this Eurocentric mindset, where it should be superior than anybody else, is at the forefront. But it's a discredited pseudoscience, and we can't look at it like that. We got to look at it as a multicultural, multi-changing country. The last time I checked, America was turning brown. So we had to look and see how we're playing into that demographic and how it's affecting the birth rates that are leading to the change in our country. It's replacement theory is happening, and we can't stop that evolution, if that makes sense. And back when we had the Charlottesville issue, and I've talked about it in the past, but we had some of the white supremacists saying that Jews will not replace us with the tiki torch and all of that. Those types of things, we can't stop evolution. Evolution can't stop, and America is turning brown. So our core constituency has to be addressed. Not putting these guys in jail, not putting the Hispanic and Latino Americans in jail or sending them out. Remember, these folks are paying tax dollars just like everyone else, even though they're not here. Some of them are not here legally, but listen, they are contributing to the tax dollars or the tax base. They're buying goods in markets. They are, they are just as much a part of America, and immigrants have always been. So this thing that we used to know is the great replacement theory, that back in the day that Jews were going to replace white people, or maybe there might be a flip that the Africans were going to replace African Americans. Great replacement theory, to me, is a self-defeating philosophy. But the primary objective is to establish some kind of racially pure nation, or segregate folks as much as possible. And if that is the case, are they willing to do so violently? You guys remember during World War II how the Japanese Americans were interned, and these were people who were literally born of Asian and Japanese descent. They were thrown into concentration camps during World War II. It was a crazy move, So we've gotta address this neoconservative white supremacist, this fascism that is growing, and that's what we see it as. We can't call it for what it is, and you got to call a spade for what a spade. Yes, so many fascists in the U.S. government. Yes, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that have gone up because of the tariffs. Not only have the price of clothing, but the price of common goods, like groceries, have gone up. And to your point, Beth and Ramona, the United States does bully other nations, but again, are we doing things in the right form, the right fashion when it comes to nation building? And the last thing that I want to say, and then we'll come back and drill it down locally, is this President Donald Trump the one to lead the American public into this new phase of where we stand in the new world order? And I'm going to say no, he's not, because he doesn't have the intellect. He doesn't have the support is waning. And, if it's a fear factor, the victimhood narrative, it just doesn't work. Traditionalist views are changing every day. That ideology includes, Jews will not replace us. So we carry tiki torches in a field down in Virginia, and we make a statement, but we have to think about what the world looks like. A third of the world is of color, and the Asian nations, China, Asia, they support the world economy like we've never seen before, even with technology. So how do we harvest? How do we deal with them, to work with them and develop these relationships? And that's what we need to be thinking about. The nationalistic ideas are hurting us, but how can we go back and trace back and work with these movements in a new modern era, in a new modern world, and adapt what it is? Some of the technology companies, Samsung, Canon, Panasonic, those are not American companies. Those are Asian companies. So, they play a significant role in our society, our technology. If we didn't have those things, then where would we be? Right now, today, Apple can't stand alone on the world stage when it comes to technology. I mean, and Toshiba, I could think of a lot of companies as an engineer that the ideology is that we have to use these resources, but how do we use them the best way? So that's the question of the hour, and those are the things that we'll talk about in the days ahead. I just really wanted to talk about, going back to let's pull him up again. Let's go back to Mr. Trump and his this idea to dominate the world stage from the standpoint of this globalistic, narcissistic. It's something. We have to think about it. I'd like to welcome Foxy Roxy. Hello, Foxy. Foxy 2, Roxy 3, or Foxy Angel Zone, I should say at this point. And if you guys are influencer, please put your information in the chat so we can make sure that we follow your links and everything. If you'd like to come on board, we're gonna drill it back down to local. But like I said, this thing with Maduro and some of the Hispanic and Latino countries. It's not going to go away, and I think that it's put us in a very bad position on the global stage. And I do believe that Maduro was a dictator, but what do we have sitting in the White House? The current occupant of the White House, for most of us, is considered what? A dictator, a white nationalist, a neoconservative, fascist. These are the things that we're hearing. So, who is it? Is this a case of the pot calling the kettle black? So, all right. So yeah, what's your comments? What's your comments about it? Let's see. Ramona, United States does not need to change how they approach other nations with concern. United States does not need to change how they approach other nations with concern. Well, yeah, I do. I hear you, but I don't agree. At this point, under this administration, there has to be changes, because if not, then we are in trouble. We've lost allies on the world stage, and we have to keep an eye on how we're dealing with these allies, because we don't have the backup like we should. Grocery prices have gone up. Coffee prices are higher. Yep. Some of the exports are horrible, and we got to be able to think about, again, how we're dealing with these things diplomatically. And Foxy said, it's the pot. It is the pot calling the kettle black. Of course it is. We have someone who's considered by many a dictator, and he's going in and going into countries and taking other quasi dictators away. It's just something. Yes, we have a lot of allies. I do agree, but we're losing them. So our government has to respond only to evil corporations who want to enslave everybody and steal resources. And here's the thing about that. I definitely want to do I want to do a segment about some of the long-term government organizations and corporations. And here's the thing that a lot of people don't know: the American government has had its hands in forming some of these corporations, going all the way back to World War II. So, they are covert operations. There's a lot of things that exist that we don't even know about. And we can talk about those things in the days ahead. All right. So, let's talk about, hold on one second. I'm sorry. I was about to do something. Let's talk about the global. No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about global. Let's talk about what's going on the local level in Thornton Township in Chicago, where we are from, in the South Town. I want to play a video from earlier today, and I just put a link in. So if any of you guys would like to join in, please feel free to. It's been a long time since I have been had a guest, and again, it's just the first show of the season. So, again, if you guys would like to come on board, please feel free to come on board. I do want to talk about what's going on. So, Harvey, Illinois, my favorite subject, right? Harvey, Illinois. Hmm. I want to talk about Harvey, Illinois. For those who don't know, we've had an ongoing campaign in Harvey, Illinois. So, just the backdrop of Harvey. Harvey has instinctively been one of the historically black or African American, whatever you choose, which one you want, communities, not just in in the Chicagoland area, but on a national level. And you have, what some of those communities, I mean, you can talk about Harlem, or you can talk about, Compton, or you can talk in Los Angeles or Harlem, New York, or you can talk about, I just think that, or St. Petersburg, Florida, Harvey would be considered one of the top 10 areas for the historically black population after World War II, and a lot of great folks migrated from Mississippi and Arkansas and down south to Harvey, Illinois. So we have to look at what the problems are, and it's been up until 30 years ago. It was a pretty nice community. If you're African American or even seniors, it was a nice community. It went downhill roughly 30 years ago, and the reasons why and what were the reasons for the economic decline. Well, some of the reasons for the economic decline were, the leadership. Leadership played a part in the demise of the community. And so here's where, for those who don't know, here's the what's going on in a nutshell in Harvey. The current occupant, who is the mayor, and his people have done a lot to not support the community, not support the small town, but from the standpoint of just individual poverty, financial distress, they played a part in its demise. From economic decline, they played a part in its demise. A significant urban blight has happened in this community under the last 7 years under its current mayor, Christopher Clark. But it's also influential for its role in entertainment and music. And that's some of the legacy of it. Folks like the Dells came from Harvey. And for those who don't know, the old Dixie Plaza, I believe, Dixie Mall, which where, as a child, I went there, where the movie The Blues Brothers was filmed. Yes, there has been financial distresses. There's been industrial destabilization or deindustrialization. It's not the Magic City that it was in the past. Again, if you were an African American, you can go to Harvey and you can pretty much, you had a nice house, a nice community that would support you, and you would feel comfortable. What does it mean to live in Harvey in a standpoint of January 11th, 2026? Well, again, it means blight. It means financial distress. It means urban issues. It means that when I go down the street, because the city is under financial distress, it means that we have a police force who are willing to stop us and give us $1,500 to $2,000 tickets for small infractions into our cars because they're trying to make it economic divide up. It means that in today's terms, it means that if I am a mayor and I'm asking for a bailout and I have to lay off more than a third of the city workforce, all the way from the police department to the fire department, I'm not going to get bailed out if I have a consistent history of mismanagement, if I don't have the support of state level leadership all the way up into the governor of the United States. So, my question to you guys, my question for maybe someone who is totally unbiased, who just walked into the room, we're explaining these things to this person is, how did we get here? That's the question that we have to address. Those are the things that we have to answer to the people, and I'm going to suggest that yes, we have had years worth of mismanagement. It wasn't just Christopher Clark, but I can tell you guys for a fact that 7 years, 7 whole years is enough that if you were an influential person, yeah, you could definitely make a change. So I want to talk a little bit about that over the course of the next 30 minutes. And yes, Foxy and Adele's were from Harvey. A lot of folks were from Harvey. On the entertainment level, bad leadership in government, yes. There are major concerns, but what we don't want to do is we don't want to get involved in a narrative that is a self-defeating narrative, but we want to try to find a way to help elevate the people. So, Ryan, I don't know if you're still on or if you're on, but if you'd like to, come on and talk a little bit about our situation here and what we did today, I would definitely be interested in having you. So if you want to join, that would be great. Or anybody who wants to join, because I think I would like to do this thing collaboratively with one of you guys. So feel free to come on board, and we can talk a little bit about it. All right. Give me 1 second, and I'm just going to Foxy Roxy. Hello, how are you?
I am fine. How are you?
Hey, I'm blessed. And not going to complain, right?
Right.
Doesn't do
I,
any good, Foxy.
no, it don't. I did a segment, I think about maybe a week ago, in
Hmm.
regards to the Southland.
Okay.
And I looked at a lot of the cities and the towns and the villages in the Southland.
Hmm.
And, it hurt me that from what I have observed from my research, that the Southland could have been the new Black Wall Street.
Hmm.
If that sounds like, the new Black Wall Street, because you all had the revenue, the power, and to make that happen in that area. If everybody had just came together, y'all could be in one of the top, you know, areas in the United States. Y'all are still financially the third strongest area in the United States from my research as far as
Hmm.
finances. But because of the misusage of it so bad, it's making it hurt you all. But you all
Hmm.
have the ability to be a powerhouse in the city, I mean, in the state of Illinois and in the United States. If everybody come together, because Southland is a pretty big place as far as, possibility of production and, prosperity.
Hmm.
But, I don't know where that went south or what happened.
Hmm.
But at one time, I knew that Southland was a place that everybody, didn't mind coming to. Now it's an area that everybody's running from, and we need to figure out what was the downfall. And we're not going to use Zuccarelli because Zuccarelli did some. Everybody there have had their hand in the cookie jar. Ain't
Hmm.
nobody there. I'm not going to sit back and say, "Oh, Zuccarelli was the greatest man there." No, no, no. Zuccarelli just knew how to do it undercover, but he knew how to keep the business going.
Mhm.
And the thing is that I'm concerned about that we have a problem with is that we get leadership and to be honest with you, you all don't have too many people to choose from. They don't have too many people to choose from when it comes down. I'm seeing that every time you come down to election time, y'all don't have too many people to choose from that you can actually say they are a great person to be the leadership. 100, 100%. You can see that they are powerhouse and this, a powerhouse and that. Right
Yeah,
now, it's kind of limited. You're limited. And then when the people get in there, people start complaining. Well, they ain't doing this, they ain't doing that. Well, you didn't have too much to choose from. When it
mhm.
came to Dalton, they didn't have too many people to choose from. It was either Cassandra, Tiffany, or House. Okay, we
Let me
didn't want
stop you.
Cassandra.
Let me chime in right there. And because I think you're making a lot of great points, Foxy. But let me just say this to you from the standpoint of some of the things that I want to share with you, or some of the things that a lot of people don't know about me. So here's the thing, and I don't know if you even know this, but I grew up in a political family. My dad actually worked for the first black mayor of in America, or at least one of the, I believe he was the first one, Harold Washington, the first elected black mayor. If not, he was among the first. Can't remember how that exactly went in this day and age because I was a youngster, but he was a precinct captain. You know, I have ties all the way back to the Zuccarelli folks. As a matter of fact, the when I went in South Suburban College, Zuccarelli was the president of the university, and basically, I mean, there's things that I want to say, but I don't, and it goes deeper than that. Going back to the South Side of Chicago, South Side is a very culturally rich, diverse area, and it's known for its historic black culture because you got neighborhoods like Bronzeville, and educational hubs like High Park, and that's where the Obamas cut their teeth at, Barack and his wife. And these are diverse communities with iconic institutions. You hear me? We have the DeSable Museum. Chicago was founded by a black man who was John Baptiste DeSable, right? So,
Right.
it's always been a historically black city, and with iconic institutions, and there's a mix of historical mansions. So even if you go 15 minutes from Harvey, you have 25 minutes going north would be High Park in Bronzeville. High Park, where the University of Chicago is, where they are currently building the Barack Obama Presidential Library, right there down in High Park in Jackson Park, right in Jackson Park on the south side. Then if you go 15-20 minutes the other way, you have Flossmoor, which is one of the richest vibrant black communities. This is where all of your a lot of your newscasters live, and some of your wealthy politicians, folks like maybe even folks like Jesse Jackson and folks like that. This is where they live. So my thing is that where the smaller cities have dropped the ball is that they haven't had the level of leadership and haven't taken advantage of what's going on from a cultural standpoint. And, with a lot of these communities, going back even to current Harvey, when you have a decade of mismanagement, a decade of some people who don't give a damn, that's a decade of infrastructure that goes down. That's a decade of, culture that gets lost. That's a decade of economic support and financial support that goes down the drain. So at a certain point, somebody has to come and say, hey, I'm going to give a damn. I'm going to dig myself out. I'm going to dig my community out. And if you don't have that, and they keep electing the same type of people, cronyism exists in these communities like none other. I mean, if I ran for the mayor, then, the next time around, now I'm endorsing my cousin for the mayor, or I'm endorsing, somebody from my church for the mayor. Those people should never be in position. Mr. Clark should have never been in position because he was amongst the city council. And I heard he was doing questionable things even then. Sure, even going back, David Johnson, one thing that people don't know, David Johnson was a former mayor of Harvey who was one of my professors at South Suburban. So, I could remember going back into those days in the 80s and the late 70s, walking around a very vibrant, beautiful community. The decline happened quick because the infrastructure wasn't built. And after 10 years of lack of infrastructure, you're going to get what you get. But now the decline has gone even further with people like Clark because, not only do they not have the leadership of the wherewithal, but they've turned around to a pattern of, I'm going to take what I can take while I'm here and rake this thing worse than it's already been raked. And that's what you have now. And that's why that community is in the situation that it's in.
Yeah, I see that. But it's not just, the Southland. There's a lot of areas that's going through that. Just like here in DC, there's a lot of, we had so many different mayors. One came in and we had to, get her out. Pratt Kelly, she came in here and she started making herself rich and had DC. Whew, we didn't think. Look, it was so bad. DC had got so bad that they had put Marion Barry back in there after his criminal, past. Put him back in there to help get DC at least back to somewhat where they needed to be at.
Yeah.
Because that's how bad DC had got. So it's not only you all. It's a lot of areas that has been people come in, they get the power, and they get big-headed with it, and they lose where they came from. They forget where they came from. Okay, I was bullied. I was this. I was that. Now it's my turn to pay people back for what you did to me. I'm in power now. You're gonna listen to me. You're gonna do what I tell you. That's not how you do anything. And look at our president. You're gonna do as I tell you. He told the lady in Venezuela, "You're gonna do as I tell you." He told the man over in Ukraine, "You're gonna do what I tell you." That's not, you messed up the first time. You're gonna come back and try to boss everybody. This is the problem we're having. People get in power and they want to get revenge, and revenge is not the way. Right now, Harvey y'all lost Dollar General, Family Dollar. You don't have a drug store, you don't have a grocery store, but you're gonna bring a pharmaceutical place there. I call it pharmaceutical, but you're gonna bring that there. How many elderly people that need insulin? How many people that need medication that place is not going to give them? Babies that are born that need certain kind of medication. I have a granddaughter that has sickle cell. If I lived there, my grandbaby lived there in Harvey, we had to go out of the city of Harvey to get her medication because of her illness. These are things that he's not looking at. He's looking at, I got power, but what are you doing to the community? You're destroying the community. You're getting empty houses because people are moving away because you don't have the economics coming, economical stuff coming into refurbish the city to make the city bigger and better. I mean, not bigger, but better than it is. Right now, it's going into a destitute. You're almost like a dust town.
Well, it is. So let me stop you because I think that we really need to drill this thing down and interact because I think it's very important. And your points are very spot on and 100%. And yeah, you do have the Marion Berries of the world. And, another name I want to throw out to you, and let me just make this point. You remember Kwame Kilpatrick, and so I was a regional manager for a corporation, an asset protection regional manager when Kwame was running around terrorizing Detroit, and it was known for corruption involving bribery, stripper parties in the governor's mansion, extortions during his tenure. And he resigned in 2008, and he received, how long he was in jail? He received a 28-year federal prison sentence for racketeering, mail fraud, and wire fraud. And that was just a small portion of what he did. Like this particular man with the allegations of him using civic funds for personal expenses, failing to report his income. See, these guys think that they can walk through the clouds, right? They think that they can do whatever they want to do But we have unfortunately, the Trump administration took a lot of these attorney generals and these prosecutors out who were committed and put proxies in there. But I can guarantee you that at a state level, this mayor for Harvey is not getting any support, and the corruption and the system of corruption that he's played a part in, that he's created, is very well known. So, the allegations of bribes, the allegations of kickbacks for city contracts, including those for the water and sewage department. Did you hear me?
Right.
Did you hear
Yeah,
me
I
screaming at you? See, what I want y'all to understand is that these people think that they get away with shit, but they're not, excuse my French, y'all, they're not getting away with anything because the feds are watching. And like I've told people time and time again, they'll watch you for 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and when they build the case, then you're done. You are not escaping. So they'll listen, they'll watch, and if you think that you're not being bugged, if you think that they don't have the technology to listen to you on phone calls or subpoena your records, if you think that they can't get you for perjury and abstraction or even tax evasion, if you think that they won't come down on you on theft and fraud, I can guarantee you got another thing coming. So they just want you to do enough to where they can say, hey, now we're ready. We're going to let them get comfortable and build our case. I mean, if they can get the La Costa Nostra or, some of these well-entrenched mafia organizations on RICO, you don't think that they can take down a little small one-horse mayor for, bribery and corruption? So, I mean, I just want, the thing that we can do as people in the public is we can keep the awareness going. We can stand and fight. We can keep, the level of, let me share something with you. And I know you know because, you've worked for the federal government. Have you heard of the 3/5 rule?
yes.
Okay, so if you have, then you would know. I'm not going to put you on the spot like that. Then you
No,
would
please
know
don't.
what the 3/5 rule is that basically you can take any dictator, you can take any person who acts outside of public interest, and if you get 3/5 of the people to talk about them, you will put them at a position to where they can't come back. So you
Uh,
need 3/5 of the people. I mean, this is one of the strategies that I've used when I fought against governors in the past. When I fought against, we have to keep the engagement going. We have to be like the Ryan Simwowskis and the Foxy Roxys of the world and keep that information flowing, because if we do, the short-minded people who just want to put food on their table and pay their bills, they don't care about all of that. But there are people who it will resound. So now I'm at the supermarket or the laundromat, and my neighbor's talking about that corrupt ass Mayor Clark, and and what he's and how much he's stealing and so on and so forth. And this is how it gets started, right? We
right.
have to do what we got to do. I wanted to, Foxy, because Ryan, you can elaborate, but I wanted to show a video from earlier today, and I was waiting on Ryan to come on. And this is one of the things that we're doing in order to keep the public information out there. With this particular mayor, and as very well as I do that there are people who love these people, who will support these people, but every day it's declining in these communities that are poor and impoverished. You know what they love? They love winners. They love leadership and they love charisma. So if you ain't got nothing else, if you can sweet talk them to death, if you are a Barack Obama talker, they're going to love you, and you're going to win people just because you can talk. Because a lot of people don't have that gift. They're not eloquent. Some of the people don't even want to be seen because they live a life of crime, and they don't even want to be seen on a stage or at a meeting because it's like, hey, who knows? The fans might come after me, so on and so forth. So you have those things that exist in the hood, and we have to be able to see it for what it is. But with that being said, Ryan, I wanted to welcome you as well. And do you mind, before we really start elaborating, can I share the video from earlier?
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
Hi,
Okay, let me.
Ryan.
Hey there, hey Foxy, how are you?
bear with me,
All
y'all.
right.
While y'all can
Go
talk while
ahead.
I'm
Go
pulling
ahead.
this up because it's been a while. But let's share the video, then we'll break it down. Okay. Here we go. Here we go, y'all.
Okay.
I think we can y'all see it?
Uh,
No, not yet.
yeah, nothing yet.
Hold on. Hold on.
There you go.
You can see it?
No, no,
want
not yet.
Get a look for about 3 minutes.
Okay, let me
but
take
we're
it
gonna
back.
Explain within this 3 minute.
Let me take it back. This was from earlier today, myself and
Amir
Ryan.
Shakur here, Harvey, Illinois, Bivens Court area, outside of the outskirts of Harvey, Illinois. Very concerning, and I just want you to get a look for about 3 minutes, but we're going to explain within this 3 minute video why we're here. So just take a look at this. This area is not unincorporated. You would think it was a wilderness, but we are on the outside of Harvey, Illinois. And this Bivens Court area is a potential problem because, and we'll explain why as we're walking up the street. I just want you to get a good look at this. As you can see, this particular street area is unsurfaced. I'm avoiding this car as we're walking. But along the street area should have been surfaced and taken care of a long time ago by the city of Harvey. But our Mayor Clark here didn't want to pay attention to the street. Let me show you what he wanted to pay attention to.
Oh.
Right behind me is a surveillance system that was put on the street, not to fix the street, not for crime, but to a surveillance area that I'm showing to monitor what we believe is his political opponent, who basically the complaint, the situation or allegation is that he lives on this area, and the facts show that his residence is on the street. So this surveillance system was put here, again, not for police authority, not for policing, not for community safety, but it was misused and abused resources of the city of Harvey, just like we had shown you the same surveillance system he has on his house a few days ago, secondary system here to monitor a political opponent. This mayor is one of the worst mayors in the city of Harvey, maybe even the country. He's got to be in the top 10, and he's got to go, people. He has got to go. This type of abuse is unheard of. This type of abuse should not happen. And with the crime rate of Harvey, the murder per capita rate of Harvey, the infrastructure, failed housing, abandoned housing, lack of police, the furloughs, these things shouldn't happen here. But it is. So we need to put a stop. 2026, it has to stop. Ryan, what do you have to say about this?
Yeah. So these types of cameras are flock safety cameras, and really they shouldn't even be used in Harvey, honestly. At least this one has the flashing blue light, but they can track you by your license plate and also by your face, facial recognition. Our money is paying for all
CCTV.
So this is a real concern. Please go online, sign the petition, calling for Clark to resign. Come to the city council meetings tomorrow at City Hall. Thank you.
Again, infrastructure abuse, bad policing, high level of corruption. The community is in uproar. People are starving. People can't feed their families because of a furlough. But yet and still, we want to put a $100,000 system over a political opponent's residence just to monitor for political purposes. Mayor Clark has to go. It's resounding. The awareness is happening. Share the video, share the message. And Harvey resistance, we need the folks of Harvey to stand up for change in 2026. Peace.
Okay, that's where most of y'all money going. That's where most of Harvey's money going for okay, that's 2 locations with surveillance cameras. He's getting kickbacks. He's closing stores because he ain't getting no more kickback from them because they can't afford to keep giving him kickback. He closing down stores. He closed the drugstore. They said they were getting robbed because of the lack of police help. I'm here. I'm seeing and doing my research. I might not be in here a lot with you all in regards to this, keeping up lately here, but because I've been doing research, because I want, when I do talk about Harvey, I want to know what I'm talking about. So I'm going back to do some more history on Harvey, and I went back to look, at how it looked before now. Yeah, that was a beautiful place to live before now, and I'm like, this is, it's sad to see it this destitute, this bad, you know, and you know I understand what you're saying. The infrastructure is terrible. He's not looking out for nobody. And my thing is, you all not gonna know. Well, Harvey is not gonna know anything of what's going on with their city until they get him out of office and they look at the books. Until you see the financial books, or see where the money has gone over the last 6 to 7 years, and with Kellogg administration, you're not gonna get a full understanding. You all or us, anybody gonna get a full understanding until we get some people in there. And you got to get rid of your board. That board have to be gone. That board need to be gone. I mean, except for the two, Kobe and what's his name, Tyrone. Is his name Tyrone, Ryan?
Tracy.
Them two. Them the only two that I would keep if if she wasn't running for mayor. But all the other ones, they need to go, because you're not. Okay. First of all, when they boarded up the apartment, it wasn't even Kobe's ward. Okay, but she was there. They broke into the restaurant. That ain't even her ward. She was there. The fire, she was there. She's at everything that's going on in Harvey, except for the ones that sitting back kissing his behind.
Can I stop you? And I want Ryan to interact, Foxy, because I think that from the standpoint of, when I got involved with Harvey, it was because I didn't like the tyranny or the things that Clark Group was doing in the public meetings. And this was just, maybe a few months after Ryan was arrested. And I think it was before Kobe was arrested for the last time. But Ryan, I just want you to answer to some of the video and some of the things that Foxy was discussing.
Oh, yeah, and I was going to ask you, because I wanted to actually share this to my StreamYard as well. Could you enable that, though? Because it looks like when I logged into
Oh, you should have. Oh, my God, man.
Yeah, you didn't. But you probably turned it off.
I know. I didn't even know you were coming on. That's why.
Well, once you mark, like, enable that guests can share, the stream, usually it'll stay that way.
Okay. All right, yeah, I'll work on that right now. But please, while I'm doing that, go right ahead if you don't mind.
Right. Yeah. So, excuse me. As Foxy said, that it is expensive. I FOIA'd and I've shown before on prior broadcasts the contract. So flock safety is not about safety. It's creepy. Violating people's right to privacy, and the police are a lot of towns are using these cameras. I don't support them at all, but it was, I think, a 5-year, more than $2 million contract that Harvey signed up for. Of course, we were never asked as residents. That was never explained to us. We were never asked if we wanted the city to sign on to that. So, thank you. Yeah, it showed up now. So yeah, that whole thing is just scandalous. So that's how, when Chris Clark says, I'm doing all this because we don't have money, but he's a liar. I mean, we don't know anything. The city could have a surplus for all we know, and he could be using it to buy, 10 homes in the Bahamas. Like, we just have no idea. We can only guess.
Right. And political corruption this is a typical playbook for a political corrupt politician. I mean, it's the abuse of public power. It's it's involving unethical and illegal acts like the fraud and the embezzlement and the nepotism. And the influence peddling. To third parties, and we know about a third party for a public op who was working in Harvey up until like a few weeks ago, who's currently being silenced. But these things are done not to help the community, but to enrich themselves or their allies, and they're diverting resources and undermining trust. So, that doesn't help the public. It harms public services. So you don't see healthcare, you don't see infrastructure, and it's just the same old political corrupt playbook that they use. And the thing is that it weighs out eventually, and they get tired, but it weighs out. But I mean, there's nobody in their right mind who is a real leader, a political strategist, who would put a camera not only on their house but on the street of a political opponent, and it's a dead end street with probably about 30, less than 15 houses on that block. And I mean, it's so telling that, and I think that the real reason why he hasn't been challenged is because people are so tired in the community that they're just trying to survive. So they don't want to put up a fight, and if they do put up a fight, then the next thing you know is you got the inspector at your door, or you got the police coming and giving you some kind of ordinance ticket, or so this is a way to quash opposition. But it's hard to quash an untouchable. It's hard to quash somebody who ain't afraid to fight. It's hard to quash somebody who basically will stand on principle, and there's no political ties. So this has been his undermining. And I give Ryan credit, and the reason why I was so adamant about standing with Ryan is because I told him the first press conference that we did, I said, man, you are brave. I said that, didn't I say that to you? Because I mean, most people wouldn't, because they have to live right there in that community. But with all of those things, you still stood your ground. So that's why I always make sure that I give folks like Ryan credit. Even Colby, I mean, we've went in the law enforcement agencies, and we understand the dynamic that happened with Colby. And the average political leader would get so what's the right word, y'all? Would get so deterred by being thrown in jail 3 or 4 times. You got to remember, her and her mom were thrown in jail. So most people would be like, I'm not going to fight against you guys, because I know you guys are going to try to do something to me, so I'll just get in and I'll work with you, that sort of thing. But for that young lady, she's been the growing voice of opposition, and I'm going to say every day she's getting stronger. So we have to show her support at the level where we can, and folks like her, in order to bring a new change and bring these crooks and these criminals under authority and then under arrest, right? But it's a process. It just doesn't happen overnight.
I like her. I like Kobe because she's more transparent. You get what I'm saying? She's running for a position, but she's transparent. She's telling you what's going on, why she can't get this, why they can't get this information, why this is going on, why that is going on. A lot of them will be out here gaslighting. They ain't gonna tell you the truth. She's giving you straight up what's going on. Ryan is giving you what's going
while
on.
you're doing that, I'm sorry. Let me go to the comments too, Foxy. Go ahead. I'm listening. I apologize. I just want to make sure we don't get the comments too far out of whack.
She's giving. Ryan is giving us, transparency of what he has been able to attain. Kobe has been giving us what's obtained. You have given what we can obtain. I give what we can find out. We try, everybody's giving a little bit of something. So, but the problem is you got a lot of elderly people that sometimes are stuck in their ways. And we have to figure out how we can reach these elderly people to turn that mind thought that they have about Clark being such a good person. See, he has got, I don't know if he go to churches and stuff like that, and a lot of elderly people in churches listen to politicians when they come to church, or they go to church, or they talk about God, or they talk about the Lord. And a lot of times they use God as the gaslighting to get them to believe in them. You get what I'm saying? I can go in there and say, oh, I praise the Lord and God, and I did this and this, and they use God as a subject to get, because they know a lot of elderly people are into church. They are, wholeheartedly into a church base, and they believe in God, and so they make them think, okay, look at what happened when that person first came into Harvey, the actor came into Harvey. Remember in the meeting, what did Clark go to? What did Clark go to? He started going to scriptures, right?
Mm-hmm.
He went to scriptures in 2 meetings. After he did those scriptures, he went to scriptures when they had their backs turned to him with the tape over their mouth. He started talking a whole lot about God and scripture. Then the next meeting, when they was allowed to say, hey, yeah, clap, he started doing the scriptures beforehand and the scriptures after the meeting. What did he go back to? God. Just as soon as that was over with, you ain't heard him talk about scripture since in any other meetings. He done went away from that.
That's influence peddling. It's influence peddling, and you 1 minute you masquerade as something that you're not, and it's just for the purpose of keeping up public perception. So we're gonna call it for a spade for what it is, and so we know it, we see it. And I'm gonna go to the comments real quick while we're talking. Ryan, that first meeting, and I just want you to share, because when I came into Harvey a little bit before that the op came in, and I think that it was just a little bit like within weeks. And my thing was to warn the folks on the ground, look, this is not a good person, but I just didn't want to outwardly, because there was really nothing at that point to really go on, and there hadn't been any negative actions. But very soon those negative things started happening. And I think Ryan can tell you, one of the first things was that person started undermining all of the other activists who were around. Hey, that person's not going to do anything. That person ain't no good. That person, and I remember having those conversations with Ryan. I said, look, man, you got to be careful, man, because that is the first thing that you're going to see. And sure enough, it went downhill from there.
And I'm not going to sit back and not test the lie and be transparent my damn self. When that person first got there, I thought maybe there might be, a little push, to get the people to, start responding, to come out like they did in Dalton. But I did not. But when I saw that, when they were outside, when Kobe turned herself in, and the first thing they did is started disrespecting people, putting their hands in people's faces, and started telling them that y'all worried about the wrong thing. You should be worried about them stealing. I'm gonna be honest with you. The interview made me change my mind before that even happened. The interview with the mayor made me change my mind then.
Yeah, because you were a Brown supporter initially, right. And and a little bit of I hate to say this, but a little bit of a Kool-Aid drinker at that point. And look, like I said, I testified. I ain't gonna sit up here and testify. I really thought, my thing was, sometimes you have to go hard on people. She's going wild. Sometimes you might have to do a little. If you go in there nice, how some people, if they wild and you go in there nice, they ain't gonna hear nothing. They said, but when you go in there just as hard as they go hard, you get a reaction. So I was thinking on that level, but then when I saw the interview, and I saw that interview, I said, okay, that is not cool. That is not going to go good. Well, you're not the only one. So I mean, there was other people who fell for the cloak of deception. So I mean, I get it. Can y'all just help me get through while we're talking? Can we just get through a little bit of the chat? So Hydro Quebec. Hey, Hydro, you're definitely the person who brings a lot of great commentary, so we appreciate you. Welcome. That's a weird place for this type of camera. I mean, myself and Ryan, I'll let Ryan speak on it, but, this is actually the second time that we've been at that location. You want to explain that a little bit, Ryan?
Right, yes, yeah, because I posted a video a while back, complaining because obviously we shouldn't have those cameras at all. But the fact that he's using it like so obviously to harass one of his political opponents, I mean, it's very inappropriate. If it's not illegal, it's definitely unethical. Right. I would argue it's probably, could be illegal as well.
And TK, hey, how you doing? Oh wow, Hydro said maybe there's a Wolverine in the area. Well, I can guarantee you that, at this point, if there's not wildlife in that area, give it another, few years and a little bit more time, and it's going to be all kind of wildlife in that area. It's just a shame. It's actually degrading as we speak. So, hopefully the next leadership can get that, because it's not a bad area. It's a decent residential in-street cul-de-sac, and I mean, I think that with the right love, it can definitely be a pretty decent block. Pretty decent area.
Mm-hmm.
Surveillance. Beth said surveillance is surveillance camera, but terrible street. Right, and that's what you see indicative of in a lot of these areas. We put emphasis in the wrong things. I mean, for them to even put a camera on that terrible street, for me, is like, okay, the street is already just a cluster, and you do what you do. I mean, it just sends such a bad message. I mean, if I were somebody who was a scammer, I would do things opposite of that. You feel me? I wouldn't want to draw that type of attention to myself. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
French, how you doing? Slumlords of South Suburbs. Oh yeah, I mean, hey, I don't think any of us would argue about that one, right? TK. All right, and TK. Go ahead, Ryan. You were saying something.
I'm still preparing. I just had a few things that I wanted to share too before I head out, but I'm not quite ready yet.
Okay. All right. And Beth said the medical office in Harvey remains closed. What's the update, Ryan? What is the update on the stores? Again, did we get any further clarification?
No news yet. As far as I know, all the dollar stores are still closed down by the city, and I don't know why.
And it's like this, man. When you can't go to the damn dollar store, where can you go? You know what I'm saying, Foxy and Ryan? If you can't go to a dollar store or Family Dollar in the hood, I mean, the only other thing that you might have, unless you have a mom and pop, is a gas station. And I mean, this mayor has ran every last good resemblance of what makes infrastructure in a community a community.
Mm-hmm.
How can he wake up every day, look in the mirror, and say that he is a leader for a community that he is single-handedly participated in running down through the toilet? It's not even, if it was in the toilet, it might even be a resemblance of something. This is in the lower sewer pipe level that, you go down and, you have to get a 30-foot snake down on the ground to get to. That's right. What I see it, and it's crazy.
That's why that's why when I did my live on the Southland, I'm like, okay, you're sitting up there, you want to act like you the king of a kingdom, but your kingdom is falling apart. What king have a kingdom that falling apart that bad? Most kings is building their kingdom up, not tearing their kingdom down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at you sitting up there behind that desk, acting like, because it's high up off the floor, above everybody. You don't come down to the level where everybody is, because you feel like you're above everybody and everybody beneath you. And then you turn, that's the appearance I get from him. Then you sit there and your city look like this. And then you got the nerve, and then he's asking for financial help. How you look, your credit is bad. You ain't even paid on your debt. Okay, that's just like me and you or Ryan have a credit card. We ain't paid the credit card in 3 years. You think they're gonna give us any credit? Really gonna give us any credit to help bail us out of a financial bond? Well, you got a credit card from the state. That's what I call it. A credit card from the comptroller from the state. You ain't paid on it in 3 years. You really think they're going to give you a credit, or they're going to help bail you out?
Mm-hmm.
And you haven't paid back what you already borrowed. Most of that money that you owe back is from borrowing from the state. So you think they're going to keep giving you a loan?
Well, the key to that, though, and Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, the city accumulated, I believe it was over 160 million in debt and you know the officials, and they're saying it's corruption and mismanagement, and there's nothing else. But what Clark's trying to do is he's saying that it didn't happen under his watch; it happened under the previous administration, or the Kellogg administration, which I have to remind folks who don't know. He was a part of that administration. He was actively a part. So if you really want to put it together, he's literally been in top office in that community probably for almost, if not almost 10 years or more. Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, and Clark and his allies, including Shirley Derwinski, on the city council at the time, didn't attend, like missed, I forget how many meetings. They're skipping meetings, and they shut down the city for months. And their plan was to, I think the quote was, to incapacitate the city. They wanted to make everything come to a stop, to try to make, and then blame it on Kellogg so that, you know, Clark and his buddies would get in power. Now, of course, that's not what they said. It was because they were opposing the corruption of Kellogg or whatever. But I mean, they really made a mess of things. They really did. And that was before Clark was mayor. That was when he was an alderman.
Right. And I also look back, you know, because of Ryan showing about the 3 years that he gave himself a raise from 2021 to 2023. You know, I look back on that and I started doing more research, and I saw where, you know, yes, they was in debt already with the Kellogg administration, but they had came up with a deal to work it out so you could get into a good standard. But when you got in, and then I seen a letter, I gotta find it, I hope I saved it to my computer. There was a document in my, I think I saved it in my email. I'm gonna check, where it showed a document from the comptroller showing what Ryan showed about the raises from 21 to 23, that the comptroller sent them a letter stating to the fact that owed them from that time, from 21 to 23. They didn't make a payment during that time frame that he was giving him and his administration raises. You get what I'm saying? When they got their salary raise, he got his salary raise. They didn't pay the comptroller those 3 years. So you went in default with your own agreement with the comptroller for 3 freaking years. And then now you want to come up to them after 3 years of going in default with the comptroller to come back and say, oh, I need y'all help bail us out. So because you messed up, you want to punish the people that work for the city for your, excuse my language, for your fuck up.
Yeah. Well, you know, 35% of the city's state collective tax revenue is already intercepted by the state controller and diverted into pension funds. So that's 35% that's out the window. That's even untouchable. And you know, even with the layoff and furloughs, you know, honestly, at this point, you know, and Ryan, I don't know if you heard this, and hopefully, I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing, a bad thing. But I mean, if the state does take over, it would probably be the best thing ever at this point for, you know, the city. And that's debatable. You know, you guys may not feel that way, but I mean, I think it's a great question. But Brian and Hydro, you guys got a question. Feel free to ask them. And I think Brian.
Brian asked about Cal City.
Go ahead, Ryan. You want to answer that?
But so the question is, are we going to talk about that? Yeah, actually, I was trying to interview one of the aldermen there tonight, but I think I don't know if she can come on tonight. So, but maybe another time. But yeah, they've been doing great. I've talked about them many times. They've been doing great because they got aldermen to sign on to hold their mayor accountable and try to find out where the money's going. So, yep. So we will definitely. I mean, I plan on talking more about Cal City for sure.
And Cal City, you know, does have a reputation all the way back. Not with the current administration, I think it's more lack of leadership and a lot of just crazy infighting and just stuff like that. I'm not sure if it's so much as, you know, financial corruption. At least I haven't heard that. I'm sure, you know, maybe the folks who.
In Cal City? Oh no, yeah. No. Thaddeus Jones is a colleague. There is pretty close with Mayor Clark. So yeah, they have most of the same issues and worse. He's in many ways he's worse because he's a state rep. So he's sued and sexually harassed some of the women in government, and then when they've complained, he's actually, sorry, it's the dog, but he's actually told them, go ahead and complain to the state. I'm a state rep. No one's gonna listen to you. So he's
Yeah, I heard that too. I heard that being said too, Ryan. I have heard that, but I didn't want to speak on it because I wasn't too sure where all that was coming from or why it was coming. So till like in the Bible, Amir, you know how it is with the Bible. You don't pick out one verse and you don't know how that verse began. What made that verse appear and know what happened afterwards. So I didn't want to speak on that statement. I had heard it, but I didn't want to speak on it until I knew what made him say that. What made him, make that statement.
Ryan, that's a question for you from Quebec.
Oh, okay, sure. I don't know why my dog, he never plays with a squeaky toy. Of course he picks now to play with. So he says, bonsoir, he says, est-ce que Harvey a un produit à exporter? Je veux dire, est-ce que Harvey vend un produit qui apporte à la ville? So does Harvey export something? Yeah, actually, we still do have factories here. So we, the biggest manufacturer is Allied Tube and Conduit. They call themselves Accor now, but its world headquarters is here in Harvey, and it employs I think at least a few hundred people in Harvey. But I believe by number our biggest employer is Ingalls Hospital. But Allied Tube and Conduit is now called Accor is close. So. Yeah, there are still some things made here, but not like in the past. Like we used to make like heavy industry.
Yeah, there was the Whiting Corporation and the steel, Whiting Steel. It used to be, maybe several factories that really kept the infrastructure. And when they left, that was another reason for the decline. So, I mean, it wasn't just corruption. It was just because industry pulled out and industry changed,
Right, exactly. Hey, did you see, you got a personal question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm married. No, but I need to be. But we won't address those type of issues on this show. So.
Look. Inquiring minds want to know.
Activist Dateline. Okay.
I was just laughing. I was like, okay, I'm gonna see if he's gonna answer that. I said, oh, he got a secret admirer. Oh, slicky now.
Oh Lord. Brian had another question. Is Chris Welch connected to these mayors of Harvey and Calumet City and giving them dark money?
Oh, Brian. Okay.
I don't know.
Some very good questions.
It's a good question.
So Chris Welch is Speaker of the House for Illinois. I haven't looked up everything he's done, but I mean, it's not secret if you look up Chris Clark's D2s that Chris Welch and the law firm that he's connected to, Ansel Glink, gave tens of thousands to Christopher Clark in his campaigns for mayor. So I don't know why. I'm not saying necessarily they're best buddies. You know what I mean? Sometimes how they'll do that is they'll just say, hey, I'm Speaker of the House. I don't really care too much about Harvey, but do that. Oh my gosh. I don't really care too much about Harvey, but I just want to make sure that someone's there that will listen to me if I need something. So sometimes they'll just do that because someone will say, yeah, just support Clark because, he's a good, he'll just, he'll support the machine or whatever. So I don't know. I can't personally speak to how close they are, but yeah, that's not dark. There might be dark money, but I mean, that's in the D2s. So.
And I don't think that, just Brian, one more thing, and everyone, I don't think that this Clark and the mayor of Harvey are not establishment people. They're not supported. I mean, the governor has said, without saying it directly, and he might have even said it directly, but he's not supporting, and that's why Harvey hasn't gotten a bailout, because they have actually stated directly that they refuse to bail him out, and rightfully speaking, not the fact that the infrastructure in the city and the community are failing, but they want this leader our lack of leadership. They wanted to change. So I wouldn't give money to a sinking ship. They want Clark to resign. And I can guarantee you the minute that happens, you're going to see a whole slew of support. So really, to be honest with you, there really isn't anything that's entangling him to stay on, except probably the fact that he's scared of what would be found when the next leadership opens those books. And it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
And also, you got to look at him being, and you got to look at him. Go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
No, I'm going to bring up the petition as well.
Can you share that? Do you have that to share in the link?
I'll pull it up.
Okay. And you said you had some things that you, Foxy, you can right after this, but you said you had some things you want to go through, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So sorry, can I present it? Oh yeah, I can. Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Share screen.
What do you want to do?
Okay, cool. So then I think you have to put it on stage.
I'll put it to the stage. Let me see if I can do that.
So anyway, if you haven't signed the petition, we have a petition saying, calling on Clark to resign immediately and calling for a forensic audit for the city of Harvey. So please do. You can find it. If you go to ryans-chicago.com and go to it's on my YouTube, it's on my Facebook pages. So the link is pretty much wherever you can find it. I'll also put it in the chat for you guys. But yeah, if you can sign, I think we're over 100 signers now. Last I checked, so about 70. It said 75 are residents of Harvey. So that is amazing, especially for Harvey. It's really hard to get people to do stuff in Harvey because for a lot of reasons, but people kind of have PTSD. So a lot of times, like, people they don't want to have anything to do with politics at all because it's been so many years of horrible politicians. So we're doing really well, but please sign and share that. So I'll put that link, and then I'm going to pull something else up. So go ahead if you guys want to talk.
Foxy.
All I was going to say is, yes, I already signed up. I just signed the petition. I tried to do it another way, but it wouldn't let me in again to do it again. I tried to cheat in another way, but it wouldn't let me do it for one time. But that's good for me.
Thank you.
I was looking at one of the mayors was indicted. What city was that? The other mayor was indicted there in Southland.
The mayor of Riverdale.
Riverdale, that's what I thought. The one in Riverdale, I'm like, well, where he come from? What? When you see these mayors like this, it starts making you go, well, what is it going on with these mayors that they feel like once they get in power, they want to start being corrupt, or were they corrupt beforehand? Now with Clark, he been in there from what I've counted up, what is it? Aldermen are in there for 4 years. Am I correct, Ryan?
Yes, 4-year term.
Okay, so 4 years term, then he's been in there 7 years now, going on 8, right? As a mayor.
Well, this would be, I guess, his 7th year, right? Next year is the election, 2027. That would be like his 8th year. Yeah.
Okay, so you think so? It's been 11 years for him. He been in the political era for 11 years now. He's been in Harvey in a political capacity for 11 years. Mm-hmm. So he should know better by now. And Hassan was in his ward, so he was already had a beef with him, and he was probably getting kickbacks from him then when he was in his ward. So that means that he was probably getting kickbacks while he was in as a mayor. And Hassan said, enough is enough. I'm not going to keep giving you kickbacks, and I'm going in the hole. And what you're seeing is the same thing was happening with Tiffany. Tiffany was getting kickbacks, and a lot of the infrastructure in in Dalton was the same way. when I started checking into Harvey, I started saying that everything that Tiffany was doing, she was just a little more out in the open with hers. Clark is a little more sneakier with his. But all the same thing is the same, remember she was trying to make the people pay $500 for tickets and they had to close that down in Dalton because of the trustee closing that down. She was trying to make them not say anything in the building the same way Clark was doing. And I started seeing that a lot of the things that she was doing, he was grooming her. And because she was so out there and people were paying attention to her so much, that he was able to do a lot more with his city by being sneaky, because everybody was paying attention to her and not comparing the two or seeing what he was doing, because he was in the cut, as they say, he was in the cut doing his sneakiness and doing his devious stuff, while everybody looking at Tiffany, ain't nobody paying me no mind. I can keep doing what I'm doing and keep grooming her at the same time.
I found my next thing to share with you guys.
Go right ahead.
Hold on, I'm gonna just change.
And then, here. 7 years, nothing is getting better, Hydro. So I mean, just so you know.
So, so some of the this is a GoFundMe that was organized by one of the police that were laid off, and I did, talk to her and some of the other folks that were laid off, and I'm, especially as a leftist organizer, I'm always very sensitive about police and police unions, because a lot of people, including me, have been victims of police brutality and violence and harassment. So, in general, I tend to be cautious with the police, but I do believe that a lot of the Harvey police officers that have been laid off are some of the ones that were actually we're trying to do right by the people of Harvey, and the folks that are still working are a lot of the ones that are, Clark wants to pay because they do whatever horrible thing he asks them to do. So I did agree. I said, okay, I'll share your GoFundMe. Obviously, they're feeling neglected because there was a very successful GoFundMe from Harvey Fire. But as one of these laid off officers, reports, like they still have, let me scroll down so you can see, I'll read you the text. So this just shows in July where Chief Bidding sent this thing saying, these people, you're all laid off, basically. On July 23rd, 2025, 15 employees were called in for a meeting. They were told they no longer had a job. Since that day, a total of 69 employees were laid off. So some of these people are unable to collect unemployment. Imagine having a family, children, bills to pay, food to buy, and not having an income since July 2025. Individuals are struggling in the worst way. Thanking you in advance for your donation. The police department is an essential part of the city. Please feel free to look up what's currently happening in Harvey. I am asking for donations to help the individuals who are in serious need. If you back the blue, please help. And it's organized by Tammy Romansky, who's one of the officers that was laid off. So, so I just wanted to share that. I'll put the link there for them. I do believe that these are some of the better, officers, not the ones that have been beating people up. So, because I don't blame people for being cautious with the police,
They're going to be skeptical, but I think what you're doing is for a worthy cause. And, maybe when it's all said and done, once we filter out, we can find ways to highlight some of the officers who have been, in public service and at a decent level and committed, and even the fire people, through all of this, because they deserve a break, they deserve recognition.
Well, it's just it's easier for fire because they don't, firemen aren't known for brutalizing people, and so I get it. And I was even telling some of that. I said, now I don't want you to be mad or misunderstand, but some people just hearing that, they're gonna say, oh, no way, because like one guy messaged me and said, yeah, this year, I think it was when Caleb was still in office, but this happened, blah blah blah. Harvey police framed me for a murder, and I had to sue to clear my name. You know, I'm like, oh my, and he didn't lie. He sent me the the casework. So I get it. You know, and when we are doing this activism work, we have to be sensitive to that. You know, that said, there are some police that I think are trying to do good within a very horrible system, because the police system as it is set up right now is not, it really just serves rich people and rich property owners, and there's no accountability. So it is problematic. So I just want to make that clear, because I don't want people to say like, what kind of activist are you supporting those dirty cops, you know?
Can you
And,
guys
and I agree with you, Ryan, because with me, with me being with the federal government, with this ICE thing, I have mixed feelings, because I was working with ICE. But the thing is, now it has, become, you got the good ICE and then you got the bad ICE, cops. And that's the problem with Harvey. You got the good cops and you got the bad cops. Sometimes the bad cops make it so bad that you can't tell who good and who bad until you get to know them, or you live there in the city and have known these different police officers, one-on-one or personally, or how they interact with you. And it's kind of hard for people to help them, like people like me online. I might want to donate, but how would I donate and know that it is going to the right ones, the ones that ain't crooked, so that's
Right, exactly. That's what I told him. I was like, I just want to make sure, like, try to put something in there that so people realize that. So yeah, and it's hard. It's a tough situation, because then a lot of times they don't necessarily they don't want to make too many waves publicly, because obviously they all want to get their jobs back. And so it's an awkward situation for police. It's much easier for fire or like water department workers, because it's not as controversial. So. But anyway, I just wanted to share.
Did they say why they wasn't able to get unemployment? Did they give a reason why they did?
Well, some of the people, some of the officers or the staff that works with the department started too late. You know what I mean? Like if they were recent hires, because we have a lot of turnover in the Harvey Police Department. So if they only worked for a certain number of months, I guess unemployment considers that they didn't pay enough into the system or something. So I'm not exactly sure how it works.
I just wanted to see if it was something that they had, because sometimes the jobs can say something to make them not eligible for it. So that's why I was checking. It's not. Now, if that's the case with the money and some of them are new, I could get that. That is correct. But if sometimes the jobs that sit back and lie to the unemployment rate to make
like
sure they don't get.
If you're fired, right? Because if they fire you for if they say you did something wrong, does that make you ineligible? Yeah. See, I don't know the eligibility rules, but
Solomon, hey guys, while you're answering that, I'm sorry, Ryan, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
No.
This was a good question, because no one I know, we talked about it individually and collectively, and I know Foxy, we've talked about it as well. But what happened to Hassan's charges against the city of Harvey versus Jedediah? And it's shady that they disappeared, considering Hassan's at-length interview with Ryan. And well, let's get one thing straight. It wasn't Hassan's charges against the city of Harvey versus Jedediah. It was Jedediah's charges, Jedediah in the city of Harvey against Hassan, is how that worked. And what happened was Jedediah didn't show up to court, so the charges were dismissed. And probably, if I were guessing, man, I would say because he lied to bring those charges. Allegedly, I'm going to throw the allegedly in there, because we are in some legal entanglements right now. But I mean, I think that's really what happened. I mean, obviously that's Hassan's case, but it was actually bought by Jedediah and the Harvey police. And I think that Harvey police dropped. You guys can correct me if you can correct me, Ryan. I think.
Did you look it up? And honestly, I haven't looked it up.
The Harvey police dropped it. The Harvey police dropped the charges. Again, what they was doing with him. And my thing is, maybe Ryan or you can answer me. How did he get a restraining order?
He lied. Allegedly.
Yeah, but what judge gave him the restraining order? Now I'm looking at how y'all went through hell and back to get one, but this man got one off the top.
Well,
I mean, with a snap
what,
of a finger.
well, that's
But you
because
know,
at that point he had support, Foxy, with Harvey Police, and that's when he was working with the establishment. I think that support is waning. At this point, it's waned. And I think that, I don't think he could do the same thing in a January 2020 or 2026 scenario. It wouldn't happen right now. But y'all,
no,
if y'all feel differently, no, correct me.
no, you're right. You're absolutely right. First of all, they're understaffed, and they're not going to have the protection and the loyalty that they had before. And like I said, a lot of things came to light during that time frame. A lot of things came to light that
But
allegedly.
Jed no longer has that
Hey, Javar,
has the order to go against Hassan, right? Like that was dropped, right?
question again.
Jed no longer has the order against Hassan, the no contest.
No, that was dismissed because he didn't show up for court. He was supposed to show up for court, but he never did. And we believe that he felt like it wasn't advantageous to pursue because it was based upon faulty premise. So, and the thing is that, a lot of the things that were said back last summer, those things don't exist anymore when it comes to this particular group of ops and what they're doing. So, hey, Wyoming, hey, thank you again for the question, Solomon. Javar, we see you. Thanks for joining in. I want you guys to, if anybody has any questions within the next few minutes, let's answer them. Let's get them out. I appreciate everyone who has joined. Foxy, if you guys can share or let people know where to find you, and then Ryan, if you can share your link or let people know where to find you. I know you're here, but I definitely want 2026 to be a level where we keep the communication going. So Wyoming, it's good to see you. We know that you're always on the spot. Denise Neri, that's a name I haven't seen in a while. Have you guys seen that name in a while? Hey, Denise.
It does kind of ring a bell. I hate Denise. Hey, everybody.
All right, everybody. So, I have
another thing to share too. Whenever you.
Oh, sure. Whenever you get ready, that's fine.
Oh, okay. It is. Oops. Wait. I gotta add it here again.
Hi, Wyoming girl. See that other name you was talking about.
Well, this year, 2026, you got to come on and just at least bring some commentary. We'd like to hear from you. We see you so much.
Wyoming, she's the silent supporter. So I finally finished something I had been meaning to do for a while. Oh, she gave you a nice compliment. She said, "Always nice to hear your nice voice." That's nice. Amir, did you see that? That's nice.
Oh yeah, thank you, Wyoming. Thank you.
Yeah, he got that Barry White voice.
But I finally set up this. So if you have an anonymous tip, if you go to ryanscavechicago.com, actually I'll just go back. Yeah, so that's my main website. So if you just go to ryanscavechicago.com, the website comes up, and then it has like a whole bunch of different links to different ways to reach me and everything. But if you go to the bottom, I just added this. Oh, and at Patreon too. Please support my work through Patreon. I could use that. But it says submit an anonymous tip. So if you click on that, okay, and it goes here, and it says if you have information about misconduct, corruption, abuse of power, or wrongdoing in Hardin, Thornton Township, or surrounding areas, you can submit a tip anonymously. Submit a tip, no login required. It's a CryptPad. It's actually hosted in France, I found out, but it's encrypted end to end. So no one will know who you are as long as you take certain precautions. If you have documents, screenshots, photos, or video, you can email them to ryansgatechicago@proton.me. Proton is the same thing. It's secured end to end. It's supposed to be used for anonymous reporting, things like that. However, don't include your name or identifying details unless you want that included. Because if you put hi, this is Sally, they're like, Sally's this, like, we're gonna know, okay, it was you. Avoid using a work computer or work network. Don't do that, because then someone can track that. And for the strongest anonymity, we advise that you use a VPN or the Tor browser, and I put a link to that. And it just says, I take steps to protect the privacy of sources and review every tip I see. But we would love the anonymous tips. So please feel free to go to ryans-chicago.com and you can tell us what's going on, because we know a lot of people are afraid of retaliation. They're afraid of losing jobs if they work for the city. There's just so much fear in Harvey. However, we don't care. We don't want to expose anyone or like cause any harm to anyone, but we need to know what is going on behind these closed doors. We don't know where the money's going. We don't know how staff are being treated, how residents are being treated. You know, we do already have people and who have shared information with us, and we're very grateful for that, but we really would like more. So please use this. And yeah, and anybody like Amir, you or Beth or Foxy, whoever wants to share that, please feel free. It's just a resource. So again, we don't care who you are. We're not trying to get anybody fired or get anyone exposed, but we need to know what's going on. Not only, especially in Harvey, but not only in Harvey. Someone brought up Cal City. I mean, there's so much stuff going on. That we just need to know. And I understand people are concerned. So that is now a way that is done. I've been wanting to do that for a while. So please take advantage of it. I don't have that cute like URL. I'm gonna work on that, like ryans-chicago.com/tips, or something. I still have to set that up.
Right, you guys can do that. And find Ryan. He's definitely consistently out there, and it's even inbox him, if you need any information either on Facebook or on his, you can reach him directly on the YouTube page. This is Foxy's. I'm gonna pull up Foxy's. So Foxy and Foxy, you changed it. It was Foxy 2, Roxy 3, but now it's just Foxy Angel Zone. Is that the primary?
Well, it's really Foxy 2, Roxy 3, but somehow
okay.
YouTube changed it. That's my code. That's the name of my channel, Foxy Angel Zone. But for some reason, YouTube changed it from Foxy 2, Roxy 3 to Foxy Angel Zone. So every time I respond to anybody, it comes up that way. So that's something YouTube did. It wasn't something I did. So.
Okay. And so just remember, you guys, and what I'll do is I'll share the information. We're going to have to find a way to make stuff actionable too, because myself and Ryan talked about it. When we get together and we have a wealth of people who are dedicated, we got to have something actionable, a mission statement. The mission now is to continue sharing the information about Clark. Let's get that petition going, you guys, and just keep that, because I think we're winning the propaganda war against these ops, and especially, the first op that we mentioned within the last several months, you guys do know, I will share an update that the case out in Flint, Michigan with Mr. Brown is done or has ended, and I think he settled with the city to be charged for the misdemeanor. I don't have the specifics to share except for what. Go ahead.
Okay.
You can.
Go ahead. I give you the 411. I give you the 411. He went. They gave him. He had to go ahead and agree not to come back to the city. I mean, not to go back to the town hall. He had not to come back to the town hall or do anything within the city that he did before.
So he was trespassed.
Right. So he can't do any of that anymore. Whatever all the charges would be, they're not dropped. They just put on hold. Just so he, but he cannot go back to Flint to do anything that he's been doing. He can't go back to Flint, basically.
So it's a suspended sentence as we speak. But
right. He just got to stay out of Flint. He can talk to anybody in Flint. He can, advertise on his channel about Flint. But he just cannot put his personal being in the city of Flint.
Okay. And then Denise said
Denise
said for 6 months. Hey, Denise. Okay. Denise said for 6 months.
Yeah, it's for 6 months. He cannot be in the city of Flint for 6 months. He went ahead and agreed to it. So he wouldn't have to so he wouldn't be charged.
So, but he still has he still has civil litigation against, the trustees
he still got the civil.
Right, in Flint.
Right, he still got the civil. That's just for the trespassing.
Okay. And so he has that in Flint, and then he still has civil against what was on the 20th. He has the federal district court in Chicago against Tiffany's boyfriend.
Right, and he still got the federal with LNC.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that one, but that's good to know.
Okay.
Yeah, he got a federal with LNC, so
Yeah.
he still ain't, just because he want, got that one ceased, where he came to an agreement. He still haven't finished with
Well,
the
if he
civil.
came to agreement and he's got 6 months supervision, that means he definitely agreed to the misdemeanor. But basically, a lot of times, if you don't do anything, then they'll remove it, or you can get it removed after that period of time. But it still shows up unless it still shows up as a charge. So I mean, it's not like it's not going to show up. I will say this though, and we'll make it public, but there is a current federal litigation on our desk. Myself, Ryan, and Ari, and that is for $3 million. I've already made it public, so I guess I can share that civil litigation against the INA team and the police leadership in Harvey for fraudulent practices in violation of civil rights. So just keep an eye out on that. We are moving forward with that. And we have to hold these bad public actors accountable. So we'll share more information as the days go on. But at the same time, we want to do things through the courts as well.
Yeah, Sheena B. Yeah, he's gonna be busy. He's gonna be busy because he's still got civil. A lot of the cases are civil cases and federal, so he haven't got past all of them. So he's still gonna be busy. My thing is, this is just me, myself, and I. If I had these many damn court cases, I'd shut the fuck up. That's just me.
I wish everybody would. I guess at this point, he might be wishing he was you, because I think I would be wishing I was anybody else. Crooks at the Township. Absolutely. Yeah, the case at the Township is still ongoing. I think Jedediah has a pending lawsuit against the Township, but I think that they also have that one against him. So that might be a battle that I don't think that they're going to win. So, I mean, again, it's a lot of litigation.
No, like I said, this is just me. Like I said, I was as that mayor said up there in Minnesota. I just shut the fuck up. That's all I got to say.
Sheila said, well, he's going to be busy this spring. Well, he said that 2026 is going to be a new change, and I think that probably it will be a new change because now you're seeing some of the charges from last year. You're actually seeing them now towards they were in litigation last year. So, yeah, there was a change in here, right?
There's a whole lot of change. No, there's going to be a whole lot of changes going on in the year of 2026.
Someone said he's too egotistical for that. What is he too egotistical for, Sheena, to be in jail? I doubt it.
Quiet. No, just shut up.
Oh, to be quiet? Oh, yeah. Okay, well, yeah, that's a fantasy. That's probably not going to... We said we weren't going to give this guy a platform, and we're not, but we will give the updates to the community as far as they need it. Yeah, that is right, Crook. It's... him and Lavelle Redmond are being sued by what's Tiffany's boyfriend's name? Please tell me that name. I can't think of it right now for some reason.
Oh shoot, what is his name? I don't call him everything but his real name. Come on.
Yeah. So that case is ongoing, and they actually dropped all the charges against Jason and the trustees, but they still have Jedediah and Lavelle because of the physical aspect of it. So, hey.
Yeah, Kamal was. Wait a minute. Look, Beth, there's a whole lot of names with Kamal. Remember, that's just one of his many
Leotis.
names.
Hydra said Wood. Leotis. Not giving him Denise said not giving a platform. Yeah, we're not giving him a platform.
No, we're not. That's why I don't even look. I said actor. So I said actor. I didn't say no names because I'm not gonna give that name out because I'm not trying to get you all and especially Ryan. That oh yeah, they said my name and they with this on the channel and they said Look, first of all, I don't give a if what you say about me. I
Well,
mean,
well,
but I just
well,
don't want to do anything that's going to get him a chance to say that volume was in violation of anything
well,
because
the last thing that no, let's do this, Fox. I don't want to be rude and interrupt you, but I do want to say that it's such a big misnomer, and it does because I can remember Ryan when we were in court on the 19th, and the judge said, "Well, if you fear him, why would you be on the same street?" You remember she said that, and it's like, listen, Judge, you are in error because it doesn't matter what you feel. If you are in the United States of America, you can go wherever you want to go, whenever you want to go, and say whatever you want to say, whenever you want to say it. Now, are there consequences and actions of
Right.
people who are, those things happen? But the reality of it is, I mean, as long as you're abiding by the law, you're not doing things incorrectly, you have a right to do whatever the hell you want to do. So we can talk about the people, we can keep updates, but as long as we're not undermining, threatening this guy, so on and so forth, then or his people, we're fine.
No one, no
Now
one, no one's
can you try to
defaming.
make it? You can try to sue anybody. You can try to sue what is the legal term? You can try to sue a banana sandwich, but I mean it doesn't mean that it's gonna go anywhere, right?
right, that part, and then some. It's just that I understand. Like I said, I'm trying to, you know, because they're that petty, you know, and I'm not trying to
Right.
put Ryan back in court for some pettiness because somebody want to be petty because I said it, but they're gonna say
Yeah,
he condoned it or he let because remember they said no third party, so I'm a third party, so I got to keep my damn mouth shut.
well,
No, 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 no,
just
no. You don't have to worry. Remember that's no, no. That's for the person that the order is against. There's nothing.
Oh, okay.
There are
it,
no
it-
restrictions on me. I just choose not to say that much because that person's not on my. Like
If
that's not the
they
focus
really to
of
be
my
honest
work.
with you, they're irrelevant right now because they got other things to worry about. Right now, we got Harvey to worry about. He irrelevant. He don't make us or break us right now. It's about the people of Harvey that need our
that's
assistance
right.
and any
That's
means
right.
necessary. And that was a distraction. And sometimes you gotta, get rid of the distraction and focus back on what we mainly was focusing on, and that's Harvey and Clark,
And
and get Kobe in as mayor, and
and
get some people.
guys, just know if you ever feel incorrect, just use the word allegedly. That goes very very far. He
Yeah,
allegedly
allegedly
did
did.
this. He allegedly did.
Allegedly did that. Yeah,
Allegedly is
no,
a great savior, right?
yeah, a great savior. Allegedly.
Kirk, I don't know what that means, aka Newport Shorts. Maybe one of
Yeah,
you guys
how
do.
about what's his name? What was the guy name that used to do a lot of the things on him? What is that guy name? He was
You
on his
talking about one of the influencers?
no, one of the
You talking
YouTube.
about the guy from New York, with the glasses?
What was his name? He used to call it Leotis, called Woods Leotis.
I don't remember, but
I can't think of his name now. I don't see much of
yeah,
him anymore
yeah. A lot of these people dropped off for some reason. Ryan, keep it up.
well,
Denise said.
a lot of them dropped off after a lot of people became popular because of Tiffany. Once Tiffany was over with, I think it's only like a couple of them that keep bringing up her old videos of her, but mostly everybody just dropped off because they were more popular and they got monetized because of Tiffany. But
Yeah.
but that was it. They were this guy, I can't think of his name. He used to call him Leotis, and he used to have Andrew like he laying in the gutter, and he used
Mhm.
to have a Kamal riding around in a car that looked like a Newport cigarette, and he
Oh, I
never
think
had.
I know who you're talking about, but those people are quiet now, so
Yeah.
and maybe I think it's good that because I think that the true fighters on time will tell, and the last people left standing, it's the reason why they're standing, you know. And Crook said every time you see Kamal Woods, he's out there smoking a cigarette. Okay, yeah. Well, hopefully, we hope
Right,
that.
yeah, Cooking with Frank, that's his name, Cooking with
Oh, you're
Frank.
talking about cooking with Frank. Oh my God. Yeah, what a monster. Anyway,
He used to call
Walter
him Leotis
Peace.
all the time. He used to call him Leotis, and he used I forgot what he used to call Andrew, but he had nicknames for everybody. And he used to have cartoon characters where they was, he was Leotis, and he was riding in a Newport car
Yeah,
with a cigarette in his mouth, and
yeah.
Leotis, and he had Andrews laying in the gutter, looked like he was laying in trash, and different things like that.
Yeah, well, we won't highlight Cooking with Frank because I mean, I definitely am in disagreement, me personally, with a lot of the things that he did. So, I mean, maybe it's good that some people are quiet and we'll just leave it at that. Hey,
Well,
y'all, listen.
he got in trouble because he was dealing with the actor, and he kind of
Yeah,
and when he started teaming up with the actor, a lot of people attacked him and J9 Eve, and when they started attacking those two, they kind of went down. And J9 Eve still bring up repeats of Tiffany, but they kind of like out, no longer out there like they were.
of course, of course. I mean, I was one of the people who was not J9, but I definitely went after Mr. Juggler. I went after his juggler vein because I wasn't playing. But I will say this though, there is a change in the air, y'all. We're gonna end it on this note. There is a change in the air. I think that the devices and the demonic spirits of last year are challenged to the point to where, as we've definitely run some of those themes out. I'm not saying that it's over with. I'm not saying we are in the clear, but I definitely feel a change in the air, and I look forward to what the spring is bringing. And there is a sense of poetic justice that is in the air for the spring. So we're gonna keep hope alive, right?
Right. I see positivity for Harvey this year. That's why when I did my last live, I played that song that I played for you all, and I
Hmm.
played it in my at the end of my. I said I want to close it out with this, and I played the
Hmm.
song. So people, to inspire people to know that Harvey is going to rise, and this is the year that they're going to rise. And I'm speaking it into the atmosphere. That Harvey is going to rise this year. 2026 is going to be the year that Harvey rise. This is the year that everybody's going to come together. This is the year that everybody say enough is enough, and we're going to come together and we're going to fight for our city back.
Well, keep up the good work, Foxy. And you guys don't forget to follow Foxy, like and subscribe to Foxy's channel. You can report anonymous tips at Ryan's Gate Chicago. Follow and subscribe to to Ryan. And then look, I meant you guys. Follow and subscribe to Roxy's Angel Zone, Ryan's Gate Chicago. You can find me at Amir Shakur Speaks, and hey, let's just keep up the good work. Listen, we need community. There is an I in community, but it's at the end. It's not at the beginning. So
Right. Exactly. It's at the end, but it's
it's
still
at
in
the
there.
so we need y'all, all the way through, and you guys have been there consistently. So we love y'all. Beth, Ramona, Crook, Wyoming, you guys are always there. Rain, snow, sheet, and sun. Thank y'all so much. TK, Hydro. I mean, if I missed anybody, it's not, just charge it to my heart. Denise, thank you for showing up again. I think we've seen you in the past. So let's just keep the information flowing. Got some interesting days ahead, y'all. We
Don't
definitely got
forget,
some interesting days.
yeah, don't forget I added I was just looking up township meetings because I thought someone asked about the township. Next township meeting will be Tuesday, January 20th. So I will try to make that. Otherwise, Harvey, don't forget tomorrow night. Please, if anybody can, come out to. We have 2 meetings tomorrow night at City Hall in Harvey. One at 5:30, one at 7. And actually, I can share that tab. Oh, it's a little blurry, but
Yeah, if you want to share it, I'll pull it up. And then
blurry.
Ramona Chappelle, Ryan, Wyoming. Beth said, and then Foxy's last live was good. That's good, Foxy. Share that. Is this it, Ryan?
Yes. So, yeah. Sorry, it's a little blurry, but I mean, the only way we would have known is because Colby shared it. So thanks to Colby for sharing this on Facebook. So there's a committee of the whole meeting, which we never have. I'm not quite sure the purpose. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 5:30. That's right. It says 5:30 tomorrow. Call to order. Roll call. Let's see. So they're going to talk about fiscal year 2025, the appropriations ordinance, because that must be passed in order to pass the levy, which is basically, how much we're going to pay in taxes for the city for fiscal year 2025. And then from the Kasperick accounting firm, Kyle Kasperick will be there. Supposedly he's presenting the fiscal year 2022 audit. Yes, it's a few years behind, but I don't necessarily have the most faith in them. They've also audited the township and other boards that I don't trust financially, have a lot of problems. But it'll be interesting to see. There'll be public comment. And then after that, those same three things, I don't think there's anything else, but pretty much those same three things will be voted on at the regular city council meeting. I would assume that Clark is doing this because if a levy is not passed, we're not collecting taxes, and he can't get more money, right, to do whatever he's doing with our money unless he has a levy. In order to pass the levy, you have to pass an appropriations ordinance. So even though these are like way behind, like months behind, that's what they're supposed to go over tomorrow night. So if people can come out, even if you don't want to say anything, if you can just come, we could really just use butts in seats and people being there, because it shows that people are watching, and it really, really does make a difference with how the politicians behave. So I don't want people to be discouraged and think that, it's not going to matter if I show up, they're not going to do anything. No, they watch, and it really, really does change things.
Yeah. And share the live, and if you're not able to make it, just share it, even after the fact. Beth, Ryan, Wyoming, Hydra, Foxy, no apologies, the committee. And we've got the social media of the Thornton Citizens Action Committee, Harvey Historical Society. I mean, we got the Facebook groups, and and they do very, very well. So guys, there's enough information out there that we can keep sharing, that we can make a difference and continue making a difference going on and above and beyond. And I'm going to make a last minute prediction, and y'all can hold me to it. I think that either Clark will be out of here, he's going to go, he's not getting reelected, but we hope that he smarts up and resigns before that. But that is the prediction, that we know that he'll be gone at the end of this term. So that's one thing that we can probably look forward to.
Yes, hallelujah. Right. Let's push for that.
All right, y'all, was there anything else, or are we good? All right, Ryan's Gate, Chicago, Foxy, Angel Zone, look out for those guys, and just keep following. And then Amir Shakur speaks, and thank y'all for participating, everybody. And if I forgot anybody, hey, feel free to just reach me. I'll drop you guys a line. We'll drop you a line. And thanks again, and y'all have a good evening. I think we're good. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Amir.
Thanks, Amir. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Amir, for letting me join in.
Oh yeah, you good. All right, y'all take care now. I'm going now. All right, bye bye.